Welcome here to MoreTalkFCB and welcome back to the channel, guys. Barça are back in action in La Liga. And in today's video, we are going to be discussing everything Ronald Koeman had to say before this clash, which of course included his thoughts on Messi's interview, which broke last night. That for me was very, very intriguing. It's all coming up in today's video. We're back. So let's do it. And Messi was indeed the first question there asked of Ronald Koeman, not necessarily about the interview, but the fact that Messi will not be involved against Eibar tomorrow. Koeman was asked there to explain Messi's absence. Koeman said, well, firstly, he had a bit of a knock from the last game. He said so he wouldn't have trained and then he wouldn't have been ready for tomorrow's game. The doctors advised there that he had about a week off, which is why we gave him 2 extra days off for his holidays. He said he'll be back, though, after the Eibar match. And I think, to be honest, that there was a good way of just giving Messi a little bit more time off. He went, of course, home to Argentina. He was there with all his family. Now he's had those extra days there just to get ready and just to come back. I'm sure he'd be back immediately after the Eibar game. Koeman was then asked, though, in that case, is Ousmane Dembele ready to play against Eibar tomorrow? He's expected to return to the team after his recent injury. Koeman said, though, we'll give you the squad list tomorrow after the final training session. He said, I don't want to give too much away right now. He said, but he has been training with the team for several days now. He's been training really well. So in principle, yes, he'll be included in the squad tomorrow. And I think we're all very excited. And all expecting again to see Ousmane Dembele back out on the field. Koeman was then asked in a bit more detail about his system from the last game against Valladolid, where we saw, of course, 3 centre-backs. He was asked there whether that would be a one-off formation. Will we see that again? Is it going to be something that you could use in the future? Koeman said, though, you can talk a lot about a system. He said the most important thing is the energy of the players and the hard work. He said it all depends on the attitude of the team and the players that we have. He said it also depends on who you're playing against. He said we can tweak our system to play against different teams. He said we're capable here of doing many different things. So he didn't really confirm nor deny whether we could see again that 3 at the back formation. And he was then asked, not having Messi in your team, is that going to influence your system? Are you going to change that system tomorrow because you won't have Messi? But Koeman said, not having Messi, it is a big loss because of the effectiveness that he has in our attack. He's a great player. He said, but the system isn't built just for him. He said he's part of the system, but we have other players who can play in his position, and I just hope that we can be as effective as when Leo is with us. Koeman was then asked about Antoine Griezmann. With the absence there of Messi in this game, are you going to be looking towards Griezmann to have more of an impact, to be more involved, of course, than he has been in recent weeks in the team? But Koeman, he didn't really go into that in much detail at all. He gave a very, very short answer. He said, well, what we need is players who are 100% ready and are going to be effective out there on the field. That's all he said. He didn't really talk much there in particular about Griezmann. That was interesting. Koeman was then asked, though, whether it has been a tough year for him, not as just the Barça coach, but with everything else that's been going on around the club and, of course, in life. And Koeman said, yes, it has been a tough year. But then he said, actually, it was quite a relaxing year as the Dutch national team coach. He said, but then, of course, there was COVID. He said, now we got troubles as well. As a team, we've had problems. He said, I am happy as the Barça coach. He said, but it's a complicated place to manage. He said, I didn't expect it to be relaxing here, though. He said, because everything depends on results. He said, but I hope next year is better concerning COVID and also concerning the club. After that answer, Koeman was then asked about Pedro. Although it's been a tough year, although it's been a difficult year, he was asked whether Pedro was a bit of a bright spark from the year that he's had as the Barça coach. But Koeman was asked there whether he supports Pedro psychologically, given all the praise and all the media attention that he's had over the past few months. Koeman, though, gave a reassuring answer. He said, from what I've seen of Pedro, I think he's an example of somebody who's doing excellently for his age and at a club as big as this one. He said, my staff and I are helping him. We give him advice very regularly. He said, but Pedro is a kid from a humble family. He knows what he has to do to improve and how he should think. He said he has a great future, but that, of course, depends on him continuing with the hard work that he's doing right now. Koeman was then asked a few times about the January transfer window, and in particular there, with the new president not coming in until the 24th of January, is it going to be a big final week? Are you going to see some players potentially leaving who's not getting many minutes? In particular, Ricky Puig was mentioned, Samuel Umtiti, Junior Firpo. Koeman came back. He said, yes, we need to be ready there for that last week of the month. He said, we need to be very well prepared. He said, if there's somebody that we like maybe in the market that we want to go out and try and get, he said, or if there's an opportunity for a young player to play for half a season at another club, then we'll discuss that with the player. But he did say, each player will make the final decision, but we will give them advice. And you do wonder there whether that is aimed at Ricky Puig. But of course, aside from the game, Ronald Koeman was asked a number of questions about that interview with Lionel Messi. First of all, he said, I didn't actually see the interview live. He said, I saw it today in the media. He said, I think it was great. He said, I think it's fine that he wants to decide his future at the end of the season. He said, what we need to do is just continue to get the best out of Leo, and then we'll see what happens. Koeman was also asked about Messi's kind words the way of Ronald Koeman. Messi said yesterday that he was happy with the work that Koeman was doing and that the team were growing. Koeman then, he laughed. He said, I don't think those words make me any more calm. He said, but I'm thankful for him saying that. He said, any person would like it when nice things are said about you. He said, though, it's a transition year. He said, we're trying to change things. He said, but Leo is still a very, very important player in this team. And then he was asked, interestingly, about Mauricio Pochettino, potentially they're becoming the new PSG coach, and whether that could actually influence Messi's decision to potentially join PSG at the end of the season. Koeman, though, he said no. He said, I've seen some things in the press, but I don't think at all that's going to be any influence. He said, I doubt that Messi is going to decide his future based on a coach. He said, that's something you have to decide with your family, for your family's sake. I don't think a coach could have that kind of influence, to be honest. Before finally, Koeman was asked what I thought was a really interesting question there about Messi coming out and saying yesterday that he could see himself in the future as a sporting director. Messi said he didn't really want to be a coach, but in the boardroom there, as a sporting director, somebody in charge of picking the players, bringing new players in, he would like to do that role, and that was very, very interesting. Koeman said, it always depends really on the person. He said, in my last few years as a player, he said, I was already thinking of what I would like to do after I retired. He said, if you can't play anymore, the next best thing is to be a coach, but he said it does depend on the person. He said, if Leo says that he sees himself as a sporting director, that's great. He said, I think it would be great for the club for Leo to return. He said he has so much experience, he's a big name, he can help the club, and he said, I thought that was very, very interesting, and I certainly do agree on that. Messi as a sporting director? Well, that could be fascinating. Maybe with Gerard Piqué working above him as the president in the future. And of course, guys, if you did indeed miss that interview from Lionel Messi, it was such a wide-ranging, honest interview, and I was really, really intrigued by everything that he said on Sunday evening. You can catch there the very best of it and all the highlights over on TalkFCB, where we discussed that late last night. I'll see you later on, of course, as well, for the full match preview ahead of Barça against Eibar, coming tomorrow. I'm excited for that, and please leave your thoughts in the comments down below on everything we have discussed today. I'll see you soon. Very, very soon indeed. But until next time, as always, Visca el Barça.